In the spring of 2021, the deli behind me, the Hometown Deli in New Jersey, was worth $100 million. $100 million on public stock markets. I'm David Offenberg. I'm an associate professor of finance at Loyola Marymount. I'm joined by my colleague Josh Spisman, now a full professor of finance at Loyola Marymount. And Josh, how could this have happened? How could this little deli with $76,000 a year in sales be worth $100 million?
What a great question. And I think the question warrants an interesting answer in that, it could be fraud. And the SEC is alleging fraud. And so what I thought we could do today is walk through one of the concepts that the SEC is using here in the alleged fraud, which is basically, it's called wash trading. And so what I wanted to do is walk through a very simple example. It's not necessarily exactly what happened, numbers wise with the deli, but it's a very simple example. And you'll see why I'm a finance professor and not an art professor, because I certainly have very little skills when it comes to art. So basically what we have here is what I want to talk about first is how trading occurs and sort of how price formation occurs in the public stock market. And so I have Mr. Blue and Mr. Red. And Mr. Blue thinks to himself that the deli that we're looking at is worth, let's say, $2 per share. And Mr. Red has done some financial analysis. They've modeled out all the future cash flows and they, everything that we teach. And they say, oh, I think this deli is worth $4 per share. And so what ultimately happens is that, Mr. Blue and Mr. Red are going to trade with each other, and they're going to trade at somewhere in the middle. Let's just make it easy and say $3 per share. So Mr. Blue sells his share of the deli to Mr. Red for $3 per share. And Mr. Red is now holding an asset that he believes is worth $4 per share, but he only paid $3 per share. And so he's going to basically hold on to this security until the price rises above, $4 and the valuation that Mr. Red has. And this is how, sort of with exaggerated numbers and differences, how stock trading sort of happens and how price formation can occur. Now, what the SEC is alleging with the Hometown Deli is something called wash trading. And basically, this is an illegal form to essentially boost the price of the stock. And to do this, we're going to look at two neighbors. So we have two houses, 22 and 24, and these two neighbors are both purple because they're working together. So basically they're going to work together, and they come up with this scheme where they're going to keep trading with each other. And what they're going to do is they're going to keep trading at higher prices. So they're going to make it look like the value of the stock, the Hometown Deli, is higher than it truly is. And so they start out low. And so maybe the first trade is we're going to sell, I'm going to sell to you at $3 per share. You're going to then sell it back to me at $4 per share. And then I'm going to sell that back to you at $5 per share. You go back at $6, and, the game continues. So you get to, 7, 8. So all of a sudden we took an asset that was worth $2 per share to start, or $3 per share to start, and we've boosted it up to $8 per share. And it's not obvious that people looking at, into public markets can see that this trading is just happening with two different people who know each other, who are neighbors, and essentially trading from the same IP address. Things of that nature is how they were caught. And so all of a sudden, the valuation of the company has skyrocketed, and this, right? So we've established this new price, but there's not really any information here, and it's not based on beliefs. It's purely based on these neighbors trading back and forth, making it, giving the illusion of a higher price. And this is essentially what the SEC is alleging with the Hometown Deli. There's some other issues as well, but basically it was a scheme to increase, to basically increase the valuation, and then the hope at some point is, you have to exit. So once we get the price high enough, we can then hopefully find some buyers who will pay this new inflated price, and we're done. We're out of it, and we've taken an asset that we started with was worth $3 and just sold it for $8. And that's essentially what happened. It's a kind of a interesting. It's certainly interesting. It's one of those I think fun things about finance where we believe things should work perfectly, but if you come up with the proper scheme, you can get things out of whack.
And I think the magical thing about this scheme is that the whole point of it is to draw the attention of the financial market so you can bring in a bunch of new investors to buy the overinflated prices. But in drawing the attention of the financial markets, you're probably also going to draw the attention of the financial regulators and end up in a lawsuit like this.